All right, so in this video we're going to be taking 5 tips for using fonts. 5 tips for using fonts. If you've missed all the other videos, ensure you go back to www.ebuka.ng to get started with this design course. Okay, so 5 tips for using fonts. Right, so these tips would show you exactly how to apply fonts in your design that would make it work. Okay, how to apply fonts in your design that would make it work well. Good. So the first tip we're going to be looking at is always mix bold headlines with light-weighted body text. Always mix bold headlines with light-weighted body text. Right? So when you have a headline that is bolded, ensure that the body text or the text underneath it that accompany that headline are light-weighted. Reason for this is it would create contrast. Good. Now let me show you an example. Right, so over here you can see this B craft. Right, B craft is the headline, conference underneath it is the body text. Okay, so the reason you are able to appreciate this very well is because B craft is bold, and then the text underneath it is light weighted. The principle for this, like I said earlier, is contrast. When you contrast a light weighted body text with a bold headline, it makes it easy to read. Okay, your eye just visually appreciates this. Okay, also if you take a look at this Natalie Kovic and the CEO of RBG marketing over here, you could see that this also follows that principle: a bold headline and a light weighted body text. Good. So the second principle we're going to be looking at, or the second tip we're going to be looking at, always keep a weight. Go from light to bold or medium to extra bold. Okay, so always keep a weight. So now the point of contrast is it must be very contrasting, or it would not make a difference. Okay, now when you're making changes in a font, if you make incremental changes, it will not be very noticeable, but when you make distinct changes, it will be noticeable. That's why you move from light to bold or medium to extra bold. Don't move from light to medium. Okay, good. So this is an example here. In the first option you see, always keep a weight. Right, that first option moved from medium to bold. Right, but then if you look underneath, you see a font that moved from light to bold. You can see that from light to bold is more contrasting and is more visually appealing than the first one. Okay, so this over here is more visually appealing, so you always move from light to bold and not from light to medium. Okay, good. Now another one, align to one axis. Right, don't align to several axes at the same time. Always align to one axis. Like you can see, this is left aligned, all right, while this is right aligned. So always align to one axis per time. Right, this is like your alignment principle in principles of design. Okay, so always align to one axis per time. Good. Now avoid combining more than 3 fonts. Okay, avoid combining more than 3 fonts. As a rule, especially, just stick to using 1 or 2 fonts. Right, in fact you can make 2 fonts out of one, right, by contrast. So when you contrast the weight, when you contrast the size, okay, or even contrast the color of the font, you can make 1 font seem like 2 different fonts. Okay, so work with your contrast, work with your weights, work with your bold. Right, basically contrast one font as much as possible to make it seem like you're using 2 different fonts. Okay, for instance here, these 3 fonts you see here is basically the same font here. Okay, these 3 fonts is the same font here, but they look different because of contrast. Okay, good. Now let's move to the fifth tip. The fifth tip says avoid combining 2 fonts from the same family. Avoid combining 2 fonts from the same family. When we say family here, we mean the font types we've already spoken about. Right, so you have a serif font and a serif font. Right, they're from the same family. So avoid combining 2 fonts from the same family. Okay, now examples of font pairs that work, I mean font families or font types you can combine. You have your serif fonts and your sans serif fonts. Okay, when you have a serif header, it can go with a sans serif body text. Okay, a serif header can go with a sans serif body text. Okay, also a sans serif header can go with a serif body text. So you can see different fonts that work. Good. So a script font as a header can go with a sans serif body text. Okay, but then remember, a serif header and a serif body text, a script header and a script body text, a slap serif header and a slap serif body text, these fonts don't work, right? These font pairs don't work. Rather surprising, a sans serif header and a sans serif body text works. Okay, good. All right, so we're going to go more on fonts, right? So more on fonts. Here I'm going to show you the sites where you can download fonts for free. Now the first site you have here is 1001fonts.com, right? So take note of these sites. We're going to check each of them. 1001fonts.com, you have dafonts.com, and then you have fontspace.com, right? 1001fonts.com, dafont.com, and fontspace.com. These are three sites. There are even a lot more sites, right? But these are three sites I want us to go into, right? So let's go to 1001fonts.com and see. Okay, we're going to 1001fonts.com, right? So 1001fonts.com. Good. So good. This is 1001fonts.com, right? This is 1001fonts.com, and it has lots and lots of fonts, right? It has lots and lots of fonts. Okay, so if you scroll down here, right, you scroll down, you can see the fonts up to page 1220, and more fonts are being added to it daily. Okay, good. So now you could just choose either of the fonts you want to download here, right? You can see this download button here. You just click the download button and you'll be able to download the font, right? Also, you could choose from the categories here the type of font you want to download. Okay, for instance, here you could see script, you can see sans serif, you could see several other. If you click on more, you would see more different classes of fonts, so to speak, that you could use, right? Good. So but here, let me say I'm designing a poster for design. For instance, I can just come in here and type the word design, right, in this search box. When I type the word design, it automatically updates it with all the other fonts. So I just go down and look at the word design in all the other fonts and pick, let's go to page 2, pick the font I like. Okay, I pick the font I like and download. Okay, so let me just randomly just pick one. Let me pick this font, right? It's called Caterpillar by Zinesia, right? So I'll just come over here, right, and click download. Good. When you click download, it's going to automatically start downloading the font here. As you can see, this is downloaded already for me, right? I have downloaded the font. So how then do you install a font now that you have downloaded it? So I go to the folder. Now the fonts you download from 1001 fonts, they are usually downloaded in a zip file, right? They're downloaded in a zip file. So I come over here, right click, I extract, because once it's in a zip file you have to extract it, right? So extract files, right? So I extract the files. Good. So after extracting, the folder is open already. I just double click. Good. Now this is the font I downloaded. This is the file of the font I downloaded. It's usually a .otf. All right, usually a .otf, right? But it could come in other formats. But usually this is what you see. Is that a .otf? It could be a .ttf, right? Also, so when you just double click on this file, when you double click on the file, you just come over here to install. Click install. That's all you need to do. It will run the install. The install here, the button install here will be dimmed. That means that's installed it. That's as simple as it is to install a font, right? Now this font is Caterpillar. When I go to my Photoshop now, right? When I go to my Photoshop now, okay, this is my font here. Let's type in Cata. You can see it. The Caterpillar font is already there. You can see it, All right, so this is the font already here. All right, so that is how simple it is to download a font. All right, good. Now let's go over to, we've checked 1001 fonts. Let's go to dafont.com. Basically, they are all the same principle, right? They are all the same principle with several fonts to pick from. Okay, this is dafont.com. You also just click download here to download it. Okay, you click download to download it. Same thing with fontspace. Fontspace.com. So same thing with font space. For font space, you just click this button here and it downloads the font you want. For font space, you can type the word you want in here also. Basically, like 1001 fonts, you type in the word you want, right? Then take a look at how it appears and then choose to download the font that suits your work. Good. Good. So that's that for fontspace.com. That's that for the sites where you can get free fonts to download from. Right now, I'm going to show you a software that helps me preview fonts, right, before I use them. Okay. Now, this software is known as Nexus Fonts. Right, Nexus Fonts is a Windows desktop software. I don't know if they have an iOS version. Right, so this font helps you to preview your fonts. Let me open mine so you see how it works. Good. So this is Nexus Font, right? This is Nexus Font. So what it does is it loads all the fonts on my laptop, right? It loads all the fonts. You can just you type in the word you want to design here. We've already put in design, or let's change it now to design on steroids. Let's change to design on steroids. All right. Good. So now it loads all the fonts in my laptop, right, and makes me see them how they appear, how the word I want or the sentence I want appears in these fonts even before I use them. Okay, this font is known as Nexus font. I'd put in a link to it on your files tab of design on steroid, but alternatively you could just Google Nexus font. Nexus font. Okay, Google Nexus font. Google Nexus font manager. Good. Sorry, that's Nexus Fonts Manager. Good. Go so you could download it from CNET or Softonic. Right, so this is it here, Nexus Fonts Manager. You could just click the download button here to download. Okay, click download button here to download Nexus Fonts. It's very helpful. I would also attach it to your files tab of design on steroids, so you'd have your Nexus font. You just download directly from there. Okay, you download the setup file. Okay, all right, good. Then finally, there is this website that helps you to combine fonts. It's called mixfonts.com. If you're not exactly sure of what fonts go together, you could just go to mixfont.com. It shows you several fonts that have been combined together and how they work. Then you can download those fonts, or if you have them, just mix them. Right, so let's go to mixfonts.com. So this is mixfonts.com, right? It basically just shows you how to combine fonts. It's like a font generator web app that helps you combine fonts. Okay, so you could just start the generator. When you click on start generator, it just loads a font, okay, and shows you what font works with that font. You can see this is Talilium, this is Titanium Web and Tauri, right? These two fonts go together, right? They go together and they show you applications also. Okay, good. So that's just basically that about fonts, right? That's that about fonts. I've shown you Nexus Font software, and I've also shown you mixfonts.com, right? You also know the sites to download fonts from right now. Good. Now, one thing I'm also going to do, if you check your files tab of design on steroid, I put in collection of fonts that I've had over time. These are about 100 fonts that I've downloaded and I've been using over time. So you download this font collection that you have on your Design on Steroids files tab, right? Download the font collections and use them, install them to your system, and then use them. I've already showed you how to install fonts. Very, very simple. Okay, so go ahead and use them. And please let me know if you have any questions, if you have any challenges. Email me hello@ebuka.ng. Good to I hope you've learned something today about fonts. See you in the next module of Design on Steroids, right, where we talk about images. Good, don't miss that. Have a great day.